You all remember what they say in show business, right? The show must go on. It's a good thing these fan favorite actors remembered this mantra, because they were way too close to quitting before stardom. Number 1. Millie Bobby Brown had a pretty embarrassing time during auditions, but she's definitely not the only one with cringy experiences. Anyways, back to Millie. At an early age, she was unfortunately not able to snag anything that would propel her career.
I think I was just very disheartened by the rejection.
After all the rejection, Millie was given an audition for Game of Thrones.
I got a no for that.
However, this audition for her was so embarrassing that she really just wanted to quit out of the industry early. But as if destiny had other plans for her, she was given an audition for the show that made her famous, Stranger Things.
The rest is history, of course.
Number 2. We love Robert Pattinson, but this made us cringe a little for him. Robert had already made an okay living as a model, but when he was asked to audition for Twilight, his agent told him to bring a guitar for the scene. The kicker here is that he did not know how to play it, so Pattinson awkwardly lugged this guitar in front of the casting director and did the scene. We'll let Robert explain what came next. I just walked in and they were like, "Oh, you brought a guitar. Do you want to play us a song?" And I was like, no, this is the worst decision I ever made. My confidence just the bed. Number 3. From soap operas to the God of Thunder. What a ride that was. Early on, Chris Hemsworth starred in a whole lot of Australian soaps before landing the role of Lieutenant Commander George Kirk in the Star Trek film. You'd think he would never have trouble finding roles after that. But despite the success of the film, he went into a dry period in acting for 8 months before finally getting the role of Thor. This lengthy point in time caused Chris to rethink a lot of his career. I was about to quit. I always wanted to act, and one of the first things I wanted to do when I got any money was pay my parents' house off. Then my mentality changed, which came from being at a point where I was like, I'm going back to Australia. Number 4. Harry Potter made adult careers super hard for these 3 kids. With so much fame early on, Emma Watson became so overwhelmed by the time Goblet of Fire premiered that she was ready to leave acting and the fame it held. I think I was scared. I don't know if you ever felt like it got to a tipping point where you were like, this is kind of forever now. As we now know, it wasn't forever for Watson. She's gone on to do some amazing projects after her tenure at Hogwarts. Number 5. It takes 2 to tango and to never give up. Kristen Stewart got her first agent when she was a child, but only after a year of auditioning and just 1 commercial booking. She just couldn't handle the rejection anymore. She felt horrible having her mother drive her around Los Angeles for auditions, saying, "I won't make my mom drive around Los Angeles anymore. I also got so nervous for every single audition. I was just dying." She was ready to throw in the towel, that is, until her mother encouraged her to toughen up for one last audition for the safety of objects. If I hadn't gotten that, I would have been done. Number 6. Anya Taylor-Joy's pawn was made into a queen, only by the help of her rook. Before she landed the role in Queen's Gambit, she was working on multiple projects simultaneously and dealing with the tough relationship. All of that emotional stress almost caused her to quit the business indefinitely. I had been working back to back. Just before Emma, I'd done 2 projects at the same time, and I was going through some emotional relationship stuff. And that's when her close friend Mia gave her the push she needed and got her back on track. No, that would be really bad. You can't not have the thing that is your oxygen. Number 7. A true hero will fall at some point in their journey. Long before Gal Gadot achieved stardom for the role of Wonder Woman, she was working a lot as an actress and model in Tel Aviv. She would audition for so many projects in Hollywood, but she never broke through.
This profession, the rejection, dude,
it's a tough business.
It wasn't until she auditioned for Wonder Woman and pushed so hard to get the role that she finally made her mark. She inspirationally said, "It's also proof that everything happens for a reason. I was on the verge of giving up acting, and then this happened." Number 8. You can still quit while you're on top, and all it takes is 1 project. Jennifer Aniston had contemplated quitting the business after a rough experience during filming an unnamed project. This experience was so rough for her that she thought about quitting. I would have to say the last 2 years that quitting has crossed my mind, which it never did before. The project had sucked the life out of me. I don't know if this is what interests me. Number 9. The worst of tragedies can sometimes cause us to fall back into normal life. Mark Ruffalo had achieved success in the early 2000s, but after the passing of his brother, he decided to pack up his family and leave Hollywood. He just never thought he would get back into it, being that his brother was highly regarded in that community. Number 10. Being a child in showbiz is tougher than you think. For Brie Larson, she auditioned so much as a child and teen, but never got a role. She took rejection so personally, and even ran away from home a few times.
I ran around the block and then came back.
After taking multiple breaks and focusing on other ventures, she was able to find true love with the craft itself, rather than just focusing on getting the role.
This is what feels like my purpose. It feels like what I'm here to do.
Number 11. Daniel Kaluuya just really wanted to get out before getting his star role. After his breakout role on Black Mirror in the episode 15 Million Merits, he was surprisingly not booking any jobs. When it came time to audition for Get Out, Daniel was not in a good space with acting. I was really disillusioned with acting. I had stopped acting for like a year and a half. I checked out because I was just like, this isn't working. When he booked that life-changing role, it changed his mindset completely. Jordan Peele quite literally saved his career. Number 12. Henry Cavill auditioned for Twilight? We're not saying that he wouldn't have been perfect or anything, but his audition for Edward was actually far from perfect. It was so horrible, in fact, that he was about ready to throw in the cape. The audition was one of the worst auditions I did in my whole life. I remember calling my parents and saying, "I'm done. I can't torture myself anymore." Number 13. Inspiration can come from anyone, not just the old wise folks. Michael B. Jordan did a lot to get his role in Fruitvale Station. He went to hundreds of auditions and got constant rejections, causing him to think about quitting more than a few times. By the time filming had begun, Michael was tired of the business, but all it took was an inspiration like director Ryan Coogler to keep him grounded. He's the reason why I have the self-confidence to go out there and do it behind the camera. To see somebody my age taking care of however many hundreds of millions of dollars this movie is, it's inspiring. It lets me know that I can do that as well. Number 14. You do too much in a short amount of time, and it'll burn you out real quick. This was the case for Channing Tatum, who had done a whopping 20 films in a span of 6 years. He thought he'd done enough and maybe it was time to retire from the industry. He said, "I took 4 movies back to back without any time off, and I wasn't as good as I wanted to be in those last 2 movies because I didn't have the energy. I asked myself, do I want to act anymore?" Number 15. Can you imagine how annoying it must be to be a child star? Having so many people ordering you around and breathing down your neck? Cole Sprouse had enough of all of that nonsense. He decided it was best to pursue what he wanted to pursue. It wasn't until he experienced a life that he returned to Hollywood for the hit show Riverdale.
I didn't know how it was going to be, but it was so much fun.
Who could ever imagine Stranger Things without Millie? And we can't even fathom a Thor without Chris. But do you disagree with us? Was there someone else who would have made one of their roles iconic? Let us know in the comments.